You know, folks, I was watching Animat, Electric Dragon's, video he did back in September of 2011 called the Top 10 Best Animated Sequels. And even before I started watching that, I just started thinking about something. And what I was thinking about is, I know they still use it on occasions. I mean, obviously, when you take a look at the Tinkerbell movies and all that. But the thing is, we haven't really seen the direct-to-video market, Disney's direct-to-video division, if you will, focus on sequels anymore. I mean, usually it's just sequels to movies that have been direct-to-video releases before the other. I mean, like again, you take a look at the Tinkerbell series. From the first one all the way to the most recent and the upcomings, in the upcoming ones, they've all been direct-to-video. Or in this case, direct-to-video, DVD, Blu-ray, or digital, or on demand. It's basically direct-to-market. Let's just put it this way. Not to theaters, direct to retailers and market, but still. And it got me thinking, even more so when I was watching this top 10 deal, it got me thinking that this is a division Disney really thrived in for a while. True, they had some hits and misses here and there. Let's not kid ourselves. They had some hits or misses. I mean, matter of fact, if you watch his top 10 best animated sequels video, and he gets to number 6, he pretty much mentions a movie that came afterwards. It's sort of a sequel, mid-quel, prequel, whatever. And that's The Lion King 1.5. And a lot of people have different reactions to it. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. Animat, he likes it in a way. He thinks it's enjoyable, but it's not on par as what he chose as the best sequel, and that being Lion King 2. Because basically, The Lion King 1.5, you're seeing things from Pumbaa and Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. And let's just say during the opening of the original Lion King, how all the animals are bowing and everything. Add some Timon and Pumbaa humor to that, and you kind of get the idea of what he means and why he doesn't look at it as being on par as being in the same category as The Lion King 2 of being a worthy successor. In other words, he pretty much states, from what I can understand in my opinion, that The Lion King 1.5 is good, it's funny, but it's mostly, and I think I'm not the only one that looks at it like this, and I'm pretty sure he looks at it in the same way, pretty much a parody, of the Lion King films. Basically, it's a parody. That's what it is. It's like a spoof, or whatever you want to call it, or whatever they call that thing where it's supposed to make fun of what's going on. Like what Doug Walker said in his Dreams Are Weary videos that he did about Over the Hedge. The thing is, it's something like that, but more importantly, more of a parody, spoof, whatever, in my opinion. But besides that, being one of those that I consider kind of a miss, a hit and a miss, but kind of more of a miss. Everything else, well, not everything else, but there have been other sequels, animated sequels, that have come out courtesy of Disney's direct-to-video market and have really been very good. I mean, they've been great. Now, again, like I said, there have been some misses. An example being Cinderella 2. That's mostly a 3-segment, 3 short, 15-minute, 10-minute short cartoon movie. Basically, just 3 animated shorts. That's it. Well, Cinderella 3 is recognized by everybody as being a more legit sequel than Cinderella 2. Because it's actually a movie. There's no segments, there's no narrations or anything like that. It's an actual movie. And people like that because it's basically, a lot of people look at it as being the sequel. That basically that should have been Cinderella 2. In their opinion, that should have been Cinderella 2. Now, again, there have been some hits. There's no doubt about it. Lion King 2, Simba's Pride is a perfect example of being a hit. And believe it or not, when they first started this, officially, Return of Jafar. That's right, Return of Jafar, the very first one, from what we understand, and was a huge success, even though some people feel it wasn't on par as to its follow-up, King of Thieves, which was also a huge success. You know, and then you take a look at like Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure, Bambi 2. I mean, these are all sequels, midquels, whatever you want to call them, prequels, that all basically are huge hits with the public because they stay true to the original story that was told in the original films. And they don't stray away from that. They expand on it, but they don't really stray away much from the original story. And that's why these have always been huge hits, you know. And again, like I said, there have been some misses. Lion King, going back to Lion King 1.5, a huge miss there. You know, wasn't really necessary, in my opinion. And again, there have been some misses. Like I said, you know, it's just, you know, to me, Disney's direct-to-video market, when it's come to its animated sequels, has had more hits than misses. Yes, it's had its fair share of misses, don't get me wrong, but it's had mostly its share of hits. And when it comes to its animated sequels, to its animated classics. You know, like I said, Cinderella 2. You know, I understand the intentions were great and everything, but honestly, it was a miss because it was nothing more than 3 animated segments comprised to make a movie. Nowadays, you rarely can get away with that. Well, Cinderella 3, a lot of people, even those in the UK, look at it as more of a legit sequel, the true sequel, if you will, than Cinderella 2. And like I said, I feel that that should have been Cinderella 2 instead of Cinderella 2 being Cinderella 2, if you get what I'm saying. But like I said, there have been some other misses as well. I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't heard much about it. But the sequel to Recess School's out. Recess Taking the 5th Grade, which I guess is a bit of the finale to the Recess franchise. I haven't heard too much about it, but apparently it didn't do so well, maybe. Because like I said, I haven't heard too much about it. And if that's the case, then that's a miss. You know? And again, like I said, they rarely have any misses. Beauty and the Beast. You know, they had a hit animated sequel, which was a Christmas movie, and that was Enchanted Christmas for Beauty and the Beast, which was a bit of a midquel, if you will. It was a bit of a midquel to Beauty and the Beast, basically taking place in between the original movie. But then you get the other Beauty and the Beast spin-off movie or sequel movie, and obviously I don't know if that did well or not, but apparently it didn't. From what I've seen, nobody really talks about it much. And that basically shows that sometimes you can have a miss, shows that they can have a miss with something like that as well. You see, you take a look at other ones, like Ariel's Advent, like Little Mermaid 2, massive hit, in my opinion. Well, not massive, but a decent hit, I should say. A decent hit and worthy successor, if you will, in terms of sequels to the original Little Mermaid movie. And then you take a look at Little Mermaid 3, Ariel's Beginning. Despite how you feel about that, that too is a worthy successor to being a sequel. So basically they can do it 2 times in a row. They did it, believe it or not, with Aladdin, with Return of Jafar, despite how some people feel about it. I thought it was okay. With Return of Jafar and King of Thieves. Now the reason I say Return of Jafar is okay, because technically it is a sequel to Aladdin, but it's actually the pilot to the animated series that follows. So look at it that way, but I still feel it is a worthy successor in some ways. Well, a decent successor, not a worthy successor, like let's say King of Thieves could be. You know, the point is, you have all these hits and misses of direct-to-animated direct-to-animated sequels to the animated features. And to me, like I mentioned, this is something that Disney really needs to, excuse me for a second. This is something that Disney, in my opinion, really needs to get back into doing. Like I said, you're going to have your hits and you're going to have your misses. Goofy Movie is another example of having a worthy successor. Yeah, it came out 6 years later, or 5 years later, but that's supposed to take place in the timeline, the continuity, and it was a worthy successor. You know, it wasn't on par as to what other animated sequels, but it was still a worthy successor. You know, you take a look at Pocahontas. Pocahontas 2, I admit, wasn't that good. You know, to me, it was a bit of a miss. Yeah, the story was okay, but not really. So to me, it was a bit of a miss in some ways. You know, you take a look at Hunchback 2, same thing. You know, I'm pretty sure they had good intentions, but it was a bit of a miss. Same thing with Mulan 2. You know, Mulan 2, I'm pretty sure people thought it was all right, but again, wasn't, you know, on par as to being, you know, a hit. So basically, it was kind of like average. Basically, an average almost to a miss. You know, and then you have Hercules. Hercules had a midquel, if you will, called Zero to Hero, which was basically a re-editing feature film version of the yearbook episode with him and Meg, and they added more stories in to, you know, like I say, make it into a movie. Make a 30-minute episode into a movie. And it was a bit of a miss. You know, and then you take a look at 101 Dalmatians 2. You know, I don't know about that one yet. I'm guessing it's probably a mixed reaction to that. But again, since I haven't heard many people talk about it much or even acknowledge it in any, like, let's say when Animac did, then I'm guessing it was a miss. Maybe it wasn't. But what it looked like to me, it looked like it could be a hit. The point is, and I know I'm sounding like a broken record here, Disney needs to go back to doing this. Because yeah, they're going to have some hits, they're going to have some misses, but they need to realize that they can't always rely on doing direct-to-video movies of just regular movies. You know, of just non-sequel movies. I mean, they were going to do Planes, a spin-off of Cars, as a direct-to-video spin-off movie, but instead decided to go theatrical with it. And that's okay. That's their decision. You know, but the thing is, you have a window of opportunity sitting in front of you with a whole massive load of other animated classics that could definitely deserve a chance at getting that treatment of at least getting one sequel. Getting one sequel at least, you know, once in the franchise, at least in their history. You know, and see where it goes from there. I know some people don't want to hear that, but to me, you at least need to attempt it for once. I mean, heck, if I felt like it, if I felt one was needed of an animated sequel, even if it was direct to video, one of my personal favorites, Robin Hood from 1973. There you go. Or the Aristocats. You know, or even heck, you know, yeah, it bombed at the box office, but it has a cult following. Do a continuation of The Black Cauldron, Great Mouse Detective, you know, Oliver and Company. You know, the list goes on.